Hey Bat fans, welcome back to Room 237, and I'm back with another review of a Batman animated film. And this is one that just came out 3 days ago actually. Went and picked it up yesterday, watched it last night. It's one that I've waited years to see because it's been in the talks for years. Seems everyone's really excited for it. It seems to be getting great reviews. But it finally getting the adaptation of my all-time favorite comic book, Batman The Long Halloween Part 1. Came out on Blu-ray on the 22nd. Raced out and grabbed a copy, and I watched it last night. Yes, I wore this cheap kid's cape while I watched it. Almost 30. I'll still wear a cape. Now, if you follow my channel for a while, well, I guess a little backstory for those that are new. Which, if you are new, I hope this is the video where you'll hit the subscribe button and join me with this. And please drop a like, help outweigh the automatic dislike I get on almost every video. But I have reviewed the comic, which, like I said, all-time favorite comic book, favorite Batman story, love it to death. I agree with what Christopher Nolan said. It's more than a comic, it's an epic tragedy. Everything I look for in a Batman story. Great detective work. Although the movie does make it seem more like he's learning to be a detective, or figuring out there's more detective work that goes into being Batman, which I kind of liked. But I've got this version, and then thank you to Greg Russell, who sent me this, an original copy, a first edition copy, which I keep on the shelf. If I ever want to reread it, I'll go back to that. But that was very nice of him. Thank you again, Greg. And so I got 2 copies of that. Part 2 will be out August 10th, and then the deluxe edition where it's put together will come out after. I'll own all 3. I really don't care because I love the story so much. Now, this was going to be an animated film years ago, and then they said it was going to be part of whatever movie was coming out at the time. I think it was Ben Affleck. Yeah, I think they even said Affleck film was going to be an adaptation. Then they're like, no, it'll be an animated film. Then it will be like a TV miniseries. There'll be an animated film. I know that a lot of the Reeves, the Batman's going to take a lot of this. Not going to be an adaptation. No live action movie has been an adaptation. No matter what anyone says. That's just a fact. And I wanted it to be animation because DC, more often than not, does a wonderful job with their animated adaptations. And when I saw they were going to do 2 parts, like Dark Knight Returns, I knew they were going to put a lot of care into it because I loved the Dark Knight Returns animated film. So, of course, the book was written by Jeph Loeb, so you got a big sprawling story with a ton of villains. Art is by Tim Sale, which is very, atmospheric, moody. I love how the opening credits have this really creepy noir music put over the actual panels. I thought that was a nice touch with the chalk line that we follow, and it makes out the bat symbol. Story is, there's a typical noir giallo killer with the fedora, the trench coat. He's got a revolver with the taped handle, file down serial number, baby bottle nipple for a silencer, going around killing members of the Falcone Crime Family. And he leaves a little trinket of whatever holiday it is, because he does it on holidays. Jack-o'-lantern on Halloween, cornucopia Thanksgiving, snow globe on Christmas. So he's dubbed the Holiday Killer. And it's up to Batman, Gordon, and Dent, because this is also about the unity of the alliance of, that trio, Batman, Dent, and Gordon. Well, as they try to... Dent really wants to take down Falcone and organized crime, but then it becomes this Holiday Killer case. And that's just part 1. I'm not really going to get into the plot of the second half. I'll save that for this, obviously. But I thought this was very good. I really liked it. Um, there were a couple things, like when I saw the trailer, the animation choice. I know this is a new direction that DC's going in. Uh, I call it Archer animation because that's what it looks like to me. I know the latest Superman movie, was it Man of Tomorrow or Man of Steel? I think it was Man of Tomorrow. I know they had that style as well. You're able to get used to it. I mean, it wasn't distracting. I thought it did fit the story. I was hoping they were going to go for more of like a Dark Knight Returns kind of animation. But I thought it fit. The backgrounds are gorgeous. It looks like, matte painting backgrounds. So I loved that. The voice cast, you got Jensen Ackles as Batman. Of course, he voiced Jason Todd, Red Hood, and Under the Red Hood. He was great as Jason. Now he's playing Batman, and he did a good job. He didn't sound, of course, that was 11 years ago, but he really does sound great as Batman. You got Troy Baker as Joker from Arkham Origins. You got Naya Rivera as Catwoman, who sadly passed away last year. But they all do a great job. I will say, at first I was like, why is Joker on the cover? Because he's a tiny footnote in this. He's in one chapter. He does have a much bigger role in this, but it's not distracting. It's not, Joker the Long Halloween. And his role in the film is still very much in spirit of what it is in the book. In the book, he goes on this, he has this big caper because he's upset that Holiday is stealing headlines from him, and he's terrorizing the city. And he's like, there's room for only one maniac. Here, that's still the case, but it's much longer. There's more to it, but they still do what's in the book, which is the thing with the plane, the gas. Batman takes him out. There's very low deviations. There's some things they add that I thought were nice. Like, in the book, which one, I love Catwoman's design more in this than I do in the book. It's more akin to the animated series. But instead of getting into a fight, they have this rooftop chase, and then it goes on to a train, and then she leads them to the warehouse with all the cash. I thought that was fine. We've seen Batman chase Catwoman on rooftops so many times. It was cute and playful, but it was also animated very well. It was fast-paced. I thought that was fine. The only thing I'll say that wasn't needed was there's these, I think they were triads, who come across Batman in an alleyway. And these ones are involved with blowing up Harvey Dent's house. And it's like these three guys, all these very fast martial artists. One's got like a chain whip with blades on it. And it's this big martial arts fight sequence. That was the only thing I would say that wasn't really needed. It didn't really distract from the film at all. Well, no, I take that back. It was kind of distracting. It did happen earlier in the film where all we see is the Johnny Meany Halloween murder. And then it's like this long gap before we get to Thanksgiving and before the holiday stuff really kicks in. So what happened in that period, I will say the first half is kind of slow. Like the first half of this. But the voice acting and just knowing it's the Long Halloween, and it is the Long Halloween throughout. It's enough to keep you interested. It was slow, but it was never boring, if that makes sense. But I will say that whole scene with the triads was kind of unneeded. Yes, I I do know there's a lot of Godfather references in the book. You know, obviously it opens up with "I believe in Gotham City, I believe in America." This is peppered with Godfather references, which is fine. You know, it kind of, you think they're gonna lead to a quote like, you know, keep your enemies close, loaded gun closer. I made him an offer, you know. That's how they say the quotes in here. There was one major deviation that is going to set apart, that's going to change part 2, and I'm not sure how they're going to do it, and that is at the end. It's during the New Year's Eve. And I thought they were going to do 6 holidays, like 6 and 6. They did 4. They went from New Year's to, Halloween to New Year's, which is fine. Maybe it was a little slower in the beginning, but, you know, I'm glad they didn't rush through it. Like, okay, let's just do 6 holidays here, 6 holidays here, and let's just bang it out. You can tell they took their time with it. He doesn't fight Grundy in this one like he does in the book, but he does leave him a Thanksgiving dinner. I do like the design of Grundy. And the book hints at the Dent household might not be that perfect, and there's issues between Harvey and Gilda. This gives us those issues. We see that their marriage isn't very happy, which I thought was a fine touch as well. I mean, all the deviations they do, maybe other than the triad sequence, is all still very much in the spirit of this. It's more of an expansion, I guess, than a deviation. Which I know a lot of people, like, if there's even a slight hint of something at the end of a movie, they'll want a whole new movie, a whole sequel built around that, because people just want the information. They don't like any ambiguity. But they do expand on some of the ideas in this here. Spoilers, because I do have to talk about the ending and how it's gonna... I don't know what's gonna happen with part 2. But before I get into spoilers, I will say, if you're a fan of the book, it's worth seeing. It's definitely worth going to pick up by itself. I mean, don't just wait till the deluxe edition comes out. I guess stream it wherever it's streaming, but go buy it. Especially now, go buy it so that they'll want to keep making these. But, it's very, very much an adaptation. It is very close to the book. Very caringly, I will say. The animation is different, but you get used to it. The voice acting is great. You know, for a while, I even forgot it was Jensen Ackles. That was Batman. But the backgrounds are beautiful. The paintings. Any deviations are really minor, or it's more of like an expanded idea. The only thing that really felt out of place was the triad fight scene. That was the only thing I felt that wasn't really needed. It does a great job of building the suspense. The music is very somber and ominous, very noir inspired. I really like... There is some humor. I will say Gordon is probably the comic relief with the whole thing about turning around. Turning around, both Batman and Dent are gone. I will say that the design of Catwoman was improved over this. It takes its time with the story throughout the whole thing, but it is kind of slower in the beginning. Like, once Thanksgiving comes, it really starts picking up. Very similar to the book, actually. So, highly recommend it. I was very, very, very pleased. This one is PG-13. Part 2 is going to be R-rated. And judging by the sneak peek that's on this and the trailer that I saw, that's where everything's going to hit the fan and be crazier. But, so yeah, highly recommend it. This is on its way to being my favorite Batman animated adaptation. I don't want to say film because that's still Mask of the Phantasm. But, spoilers. Okay, so we all know in the book, we all know Alberto's role. Alberto Falcone. Oh, I did forget to mention, I should mention that we see Salvatore Maroni, talking to his dad for advice in a garden with, like, an arch lattice with vines all over it. And the elder Maroni has a raspy voice. It's very much like the best served cold scene in Godfather. But anyway, we all know Alberto's role. On New Year's, falls off the yacht, presumably drowns or dies somehow. But then he comes back as one of the holiday killers, or the holiday imposter. He comes back at the end. I don't know how in the hell they're going to do that with this, because we see him fall off the boat. We see Holiday shoot him. He falls off the boat, and then we see him go under, hits the propeller, gets chewed to shit. Maybe they'll pull it off that it wasn't Alberto. Something else happened. It was a robot or a puppet. But they've really been taking themselves seriously with this. I don't think they're going to go some crazy route that way. Or maybe it was just a trick to the audience. Maybe, well, we did hear characters say that pieces of him had to be fished out. So maybe they do know he got chewed up. But that was a part that left me kind of perplexed. I was watching it and I was just like, the hell's going to happen in part 2? And I can't believe I forgot to talk about Calendar Man. Calendar Man was voiced by, because he reminded me so much of Joker from Dark Knight Returns. David Dastmalchian. He did a good job. And yeah, they are really playing up the Silence of the Lambs influence in this. But, you know, he's got this, you know, standing up straight with his arms behind his back. You're like, well, Holiday, DA. You know, just, he's creepy. And, yeah, they didn't put the, actually, he doesn't have the Roman numerals across his head, I don't think, in this. At least not at first. But I feel bad. I would feel bad if I didn't mention Holiday at all. But I liked how they handled Holiday. He's really in just maybe a couple scenes in this part. But yeah, I have done a review for part 2. I thought this was excellent. I thought it was very entertaining. I was very into it. I was very excited. It's so much like the book, and I'm so thankful for that. And it's what an adaptation should be. Any kind of change should be an expansion on an idea or a slight deviation for the better. I mean, they really expanded Joker's part in this, but it's still in the spirit of it. He's still pissed that, he escaped from Arkham because he's pissed Holiday's getting all the headlines, and he's the one terrorizing Gotham. Like, first he goes and terrorizes Dent, and then, you know, runs around, does a couple more things, and then he gets in the plane, and we see what's in the book. So yeah, they expanded it, but it didn't become a Joker movie. It didn't become Joker's the main focus. And I thought Troy Baker's acting, you know, he's very much a young Mark Hamill, so that's excellent. But I loved it. Cannot wait for part 2, which will be out August 10th. I will pick that up as soon as it comes out. But yeah, I don't know what else to say other than the fact that I'm very, very, very pleased with it. I thought it was excellent. Batman Long Halloween, still all-time favorite comic book. Can't wait for part 2. Can't wait for the deluxe edition to come out. Then I'll have all this, but excellent adaptation. Well worth the wait. Thank you for watching.